a cold front moving through. It's been pretty warm. We had that warm front move through about a day or so ago. Now we're tracking that cold front. We got that warm air, that cold air, those clash. That usually creates the thunderstorms and the risk for definitely some heavy rain. We got those gusty winds already, and that's going to continue throughout the day today. And then we're also tracking the potential for an isolated strong to severe storm. So it's here. Really seeing most of that rain arrive a little bit later, and you're going to see that. So let's go ahead and get started here on this WVLT First Alert Weather Day. Here's a look at what we're dealing with right now. You can see some of that heavier rain up into Kentucky. A lot of you maybe dealt with that early this morning. It mainly stayed kind of Campbell to Claiborne, right along the Kentucky-Tennessee line, and then of course into parts of southeastern Kentucky, or southeastern Kentucky's like Williamsburg or Whitley County, excuse me, to Wayne. And even parts of, I think, Fentress got a little bit of some heavy rain earlier this morning. Now we're all getting a break. You see that cold front way out there just now moving really into Memphis. That's what we're tracking a little bit later today. That's the main threat of the heavy rain, the gusty winds, the storms, all of the above here. Here's a look at those gusts right now. We've already been dealing with kind of those breezy conditions, winds gusting up to 30, even 40 miles per hour at times. I think we see really gusty winds up towards those mountaintops. That's where that wind advisory is for today. They can see gusts, I think, closer to about 50. Maybe even close to 60 miles per hour, really up at those higher points, but the rest of us is just seeing those gusts up to about 35 to 40 miles per hour. Already seeing that now, really going to continue to see that as you head throughout the day today. Here's a look at that severe storm risk. So the greatest risk for some of those strong to severe storms, Cumberland, Morgan, Fentress to Scott, and then up into Wayne County, up into parts of southeastern Kentucky, McCreary County to parts of Whitley County. That's the greatest risk, at least for seeing an isolated stronger storm for really this evening to those overnight hours. Kind of the rest of us see that green, that's that level 1 out of 5 there for parts of Knoxville to Blount to Anderson to Union. Maybe an isolated stronger storm. I think we're mostly still with the gusty winds, heavy rain, and potentially some lightning and thunder a little bit later this afternoon to evening. So all of us are dealing with that heavy rain. That's a really big impact heading into tonight, and especially by tomorrow morning. We're keeping an eye on the localized flooding threat. If you get one of those really heavy downpours set up over your area, that could definitely create some issues. Those grounds are already pretty saturated. You add that, and then you add the winds, kind of can topple some trees over and things like that. So that's what we're going to be monitoring really throughout the evening into the overnight hours. Yes, there is a chance for some isolated stronger storms in those counties I kind of just called out there, and within some of those storms could see a little bit of some hail if we get one of those stronger to severe storms to pop up, mainly plateau into parts of southeastern Kentucky. So it'll be something we're monitoring really as you head throughout the day. Here's a look at that first alert futurecast as we head into the rest of this afternoon. You see those very isolated showers, isolated pop-up storm possible throughout the afternoon hours, but you'll notice most of us are really staying dry. 1:30, 2 o'clock there, and it's closer to about 5 to 6. That's when we're starting to see the leading edge of that front pushing into parts of really Wayne, McCreary County, Fentress, towards parts of Cumberland County. I would say between 5 and about 6 to 7, that's when we could see an isolated stronger storm up towards the plateau. So there's that Morgan County to parts of Fentress, Scott, maybe even moving into parts of Campbell County as well. But it's kind of staying more plateau to parts of southeastern Kentucky. Rain, at least the heavy stuff, really isn't pushed into parts of Knoxville or even our surrounding counties here until closer to that 7, 8 o'clock time frame. That's when we're dealing with pockets of heavy rain as you head throughout the night. Dealing still with some lightning and thunder, I think, as we head throughout those overnight hours as well. So it might be a little bit noisy at times, especially with the rain, the wind, a little bit of the lightning and thunder as well. Here's more of that heavy rain really right around midnight, so you're likely falling asleep to this. I think it's some good sleeping weather, but it also could wake you up. It could be a little bit noisy throughout those overnight hours. There's that look at 2:30 in the morning on Friday, so we're keeping that WVLT First Alert Weather Day at least through most of those overnight hours, just as we're tracking some of that really heavy rain to push in, and then we'll monitor by Friday morning if we have some spots that just might be a little bit messy as you're stepping out the door. So keep that in mind for that morning commute. Good news is, though, here's looks at 6 o'clock. We're starting to clear out, really plateau. Southeast Kentucky, you guys looking good. Valley, you're starting to see that rain push out of there right around 6 o'clock, and then still hanging on to some of those showers in the foothills, mountains, and then to some of our far northeastern counties as well. So here's look at that rain forecast where you live. We can kind of zoom in on each area here. Isolated 2 inches into some spots, and this is kind of falling, I would say, right around, starting around 5 to 6 p.m. until about 6 a.m. there on your Friday. So I think we're getting closer to about an inch, Knoxville to Maribel. But remember, if you get one of those heavier downpours downpours to pop up. You could see maybe closer to 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, maybe in North Knox, for instance. So if you get one of those heavier downpours, you could see a little bit more rain. You could see some of that heavier rain, about 1.5 inches, into parts of Townsend to Chilhowie, down towards Tellico Plains as well. I think you have a better chance of seeing those isolated 2+ inches in parts of the plateau. Again, really, you guys getting in on that heavier rain in those storms. So there's that 2 inches in Oneida, almost 2 inches there right in Crossville. You see some of those purples popping up. It's a little bit closer to that 2-inch mark, so you guys could likely get some streaks of 2+ inches. Same up into parts of southeastern Kentucky, where it says like Williamsburg right at 1.5 inches, but just south of that where that purple is could be closer to about 2 inches. Same up into Barberville there, closer to about 1 inch. Middlesboro to Powell Valley, a little less than that, La Follette, and if one of those kind of heavier storms missed your area. And then for our far northeastern counties, as the system pushes into your area, as it continues to push east, it kind of died down a little bit. So it makes sense that you're only about 1 inch, a little less than that, from Greenville to Mohawk to Rutledge to Morristown, even Sevierville too. You guys kind of right there on that line where some of those storms could start to die down as it pushes into parts of Sevier County. So you're probably closer to about 1 inch, isolated 1.5 inches in your area, but definitely dying down, really moving into Jefferson County to Cocke County, Hamblin County, kind of dying down again as it continues to push eastward. But all of us are definitely dealing with those gusty winds as we head throughout the day today. You could see winds gusting up to 35, 40 miles per hour. And if you get one of those isolated stronger storms, that's when you could see those gusts a little bit higher than that. But just really throughout the day, this even before that rain moves in, we have those really breezy conditions. So that's going to continue as we head into the afternoon to evening hours. It does look like as the rain starts pushing, there's that 9 o'clock, kind of getting a last burst of some of those really gusty winds between really 9 and 10 o'clock. And then as that cold front moves, those winds start to shift, and that's going to filter in that cold air very quickly overnight Thursday into Friday. So we're getting into about the lower 70s this afternoon. We're dropping into the upper 30s by Friday morning. So cold air filters in very quickly with those really, really gusty winds. And that's really going to continue to make tomorrow, Friday, a lot colder. We are going to continue to kind of track out some of that really cold air that we're going to be seeing tomorrow. Rain transitions over into a little bit of snow, higher elevation, so you likely won't see anything, but it is definitely a lot colder as we head throughout the day tomorrow. We are going to continue to kind of keep an eye on the system throughout the day. Remember, timing can always change a little bit, so we're going to be tracking it pretty closely, really starting at noon with our chief meteorologist Heather Haley, and then starting at 4 o'clock today, we're back on the 4 on CBS. So I'll have the latest track starting there, and then of course Ben's going to help you continue to track this out throughout the evening hours. If you have that WVLT First Alert Weather app, you can actually scan it. There's a little QR code right here. You can scan that. You can download the app. It tells you when the heavy rain's in your area, when lightning is nearby, and if you get in one of those stronger to severe storms, you more than likely you will get a push to your phone telling you that. So just keep that handy as you head throughout the day. Again, we're going to continue to track out the latest for you, but for now, be safe and be weather aware as you head throughout the day.